Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Running Rants with Helen. Still Helen, and this is where I rant and talk about whatever I want. Today we are on the PCT and the Tahoe Rim Trail. We ran up to Twin Peaks from Barker Pass. I've been up Twin Peaks quite a few times, but this is the first time I've ever come from this direction. There's one of the squares on my bingo, because I pretty much run all of the parts of the Tahoe Rim Trail like separately, except for this one. It's very nice. Big fan. Yeah, and today, I said in a few videos ago, maybe it was just one video ago, that I was about to hit 2,000 subscribers, and I did, so yay. Thank you. And I'm going to answer some of the questions you guys submitted.
Start with Francesco Pupi. That name sounds really familiar, huh?
Yeah.
We are so back.
Said as a question. Yeah, at this point I would say for sure we are so back, which could mean a lot of different things, but I feel like 2024 wasn't that good of a racing year for me. This year's going pretty good so far. So I'd say we're so back. We're so back in the fact that I'm recovered from broken arrow. We're so back in everything up high is pretty much open. I can run wherever I want, which I'm stoked about. So yes, Francesco, to answer your question in a multitude of ways, we are so back.
This question's from Adrian Evers. They say, what caused the mental swap from track to trail running?
Yeah, I feel like I've talked about this a decent amount of like why I quit. And I can link that video. I actually made a whole video on why I quit. And I think just for me, like, track wasn't fun anymore. A big part of my why of running is fun, and I love it. And I've also talked about it, but like in track, there's like only really one measure of success, and that's run faster. With trail running, there's a lot of different ways you can go. And so I think I was just like burnt out and didn't have fun. And then I started trail running, and it like reconnected me to the whole reason why I started running. And that's because it's fun. So yeah, I think that answers the question.
This question is from Summer Mid Yet. If you could wake up and be elite level at any other sport other than running, what would it be?
Oh, I have thought about this, and I think it would be either surfing, because I feel like that would just be a really fun thing to be very good at, because I'm not very good at it, and I just get like tossed by waves, and seeing people who are good, it just like looks so effortless. Or if like I still wanted to keep the same life I have, I would probably just choose like skiing, because I love Truckee, and I also live, I think, in one of the best places for skiing. And I don't know, it'd be so cool, like not only to be able to ski like really big mountains and lines, which I feel like could be like is a little bit more accessible in my future, but like being a park rat would be sick. I don't know if that lifestyle necessarily aligns with what I love though. I feel like I've talked about like the sick trick thing, and about how running just never really feels like sick trick. I feel like park skiing is very obviously sick trick, and surfing feels like sick trick to me too. So maybe that's why those are like the two. I guess I answered with two, but one of the two.
I want to elaborate on this one a little bit. Like the two sports that you mentioned, surfing and skiing, are very much like it's not that they're not endurance sports or kind of athletic feats in their own right, but they're very much like about community and lifestyle and vibes. Can you talk about how that also might have played into your decision to choose trail running?
I don't know if I chose trail running.
Say more.
I feel like that's just what I ended up being good at. I don't know if it was like a conscious decision, I guess, to pursue it, kind of. But also I feel like things just like aligned in my life that this is like where I ended up. And I feel like that's also something that I really believe is like I'm on the path that I'm meant to be on. And that's why this came into my life like relatively easily and effortlessly, is because like it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Why, I don't really know. At least that's how it feels. And so yeah, I don't know that I chose trail running, but I'm happy about it.
Okay, this one comes from our boy Tommy Sullivan. Shout out Tommy. If you awoke tomorrow as a worm, what would be your first order of business?
I feel like the first and only order of business would be find good things to eat and then poop and hang out and just be a little wiggly guy. I think those are really truly the only orders of business you can have as a worm, and I think I could be content with that. But yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I guess try not to get got by a bird. So maybe don't be awake too early.
So pretty similar to your current existence, sounds like.
Yeah, try not to get got and don't wake up too early. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's really not that different, you're right.
It's from Die Now Ska. Do you think it's wise racing 50K more often after achieving mediocre performance in 100K 100 mile? Does it make sense prioritizing shorter, faster races before moving on to longer distances?
I don't think so necessarily. I mean, I guess it depends on what your goals are. Because if you don't really care if you're good at it, then like you should, and even if you do, you should probably do what like you're enjoying and finding fun and the training you like, because as I always say, like your training is your life. Well, at least for me it is, maybe not everyone. But yeah, I mean, I guess if the performance aspect is like important to you, which I'm guessing that it is from this question, then I feel like people always say like, well, maybe just run shorter while you're younger or earlier, and then you can like start to move up. And I think that there is some validity in that, and only because in shorter races there's just less time for things to go terribly wrong. So like if you're still learning and you don't nail your nutrition or you don't nail your pacing, like the consequences I feel like are a little less like serious, I guess, because then it's like, okay, well, my 5-hour day turned into an 8-hour day, like whatever, I'll be fine. But I feel like when you mess those things up and longer stuff, it's like, oh, my like 20-hour day just became like a 35-hour day, which is very significant. But yeah, I mean, if you still enjoy the training better for the longer distances and that's what you like doing, then I think that's what you should do. And sometimes it just takes practice, I think. I feel like every time you learn stuff.
Maybe talk about the flip side of that too, like feels like there's always pressure for people to move up in distance, and some people are just good at short, fast stuff, and that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's totally okay. I feel like sometimes, and I think this is changing, like sometimes it's maybe harder to build a career off of it, but honestly, like I kind of feel like I have so far, and I think that brands are starting to see value in it, even though like maybe the shorter races still aren't viewed as important as 100 milers. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I also have a whole episode on why I don't think that like everyone needs to run super far. Yeah, I think it just goes back to like follow what you want to do and not what you feel like other people want you to do, or where the the external pressure is, But if it's genuinely something that comes from like what you want, then I think it's fine.
Questions from Rob Wilkes, 4816. How tall are you at?
So I think this question could mean one of two things. One, how tall I am. How tall am I? I'm 5'1.5", but I also believe that I'm a tall 5'1.5".
What does that mean?
I think it means energy-wise. Like even MK's mom, MK I think is like 5'3" or 5'4", and her mom thought that I was taller than her. I'm not.
It's an attitude thing.
Yeah, maybe it's an attitude thing. I have like pretty good posture, I think, from yoga. I don't know. I do believe that I am a tall 5'1.5" though.
How tall would you say your personality is?
Oh, I think I'm probably 5'3".
Nice.
And the other thing that question could mean is like, what altitude do I live at? And I live about exactly at 6,000 feet. I don't know what that is in meters. I think my audience is mostly American anyway, so.
This question is from Icarus CFO. And the question is, what's your fueling strategy for a race of this distance? And I think they're referring to Broken Arrow 46K.
Yeah, so I'm sure we all know about the whole high carb thing. And I've realized that I'm like a medium carb kind of gal. And so during races, I normally aim for about 70 grams an hour, depending on like weather and effort. Like that's like usually my goal. Will I make it there? It's hard to say. But I think a big part of it, because I was trying to eat 80 to 90 and I was just throwing up. And I think that like I'm not a super big person, so I feel like that also plays a role in it. Also, I was like pretty much exclusively eating Spring Awesome Sauce and thought that I was eating 80 to 90 grams of carbs an hour, and I obviously wasn't. And so then when I realized I wasn't, I just like went into trying to, and then yeah, Rick and I realized I was just throwing up a lot more than I normally do, so we kind of brought it back a little bit. And I guess the other thing is like pretty much no matter what the race distance is, that's what I aim for.
Maybe touch on other aspects of that, like your hydration and how you're getting those carbs.
Yeah, historically I'm not good at drinking water, so for sure like liquid calories are good, because then at least I'm drinking a little bit more liquid and I feel like I have less stomach things. And I usually use like strawberry hibiscus, goo roctane, or like the tropical one that has caffeine. But those are really the only two flavors I use. And then I usually just do like the normal serving size of like 60 grams. And so I'll either try to drink a bottle in an hour or an hour and a half, depending, and then I supplement the rest of my carbs with gels. And I usually, especially when it's warm out, I prefer like fruity flavors, but Goo has so many flavors. Right now I think my favorite one though is like, they have the liquid gels. Oh yeah, and I like the strawberry banana ones because they just taste like juice. They are kind of big though, but juice.
This one is from Rico de la Vega. Rico, just want to personally shout you out because you're always in the comments and bringing the entertainment and the good questions. So are you still committed to primarily doing races in your area and not necessarily globetrotting as much this year?
Yeah, I guess it's changed a bit in the last 2 weeks, but I was only going to run races pretty much like in the western US and even worse like local to Truckee, which has changed a little bit because I decided to say yes to the Worlds team. So that completely switched up my schedule. But I think I'll still run Mountain Tiger race on Donner Summit at the end of July, like right after Mountain Tiger. In mid-August I'll run Telluride Mountain Run. So that's not super local, but I'll spend some time in Colorado, so that'll be nice. And then I'll go to Worlds like mid-September, I think, and that is not local. I will be in the Pyrenees. And then I want to run a race in Bariloche, Argentina, which is at the end of November. I went to Argentina back in 2023 and I loved it. I don't know if I've talked about this. It's a completely different part of Argentina, but yeah, Jacob and I could both go run a race there, and yeah, I'm super stoked for that. But yeah, definitely switched around my schedule so it's a bit less local.
This question is from Frank Marquez, and he says, how much do you monitor your weight and fat percentage? Does body comp play a big factor in your training and competition?
The answer is 0%. Absolutely none. I have no idea what my body fat percentage is, and I don't own a scale. So, nope. I don't know how much. I don't think it really matters in trail running. I'm not an exercise physiologist though, but yeah, I do not pay attention to any of that or try to change any of that in my training. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys to whoever submitted questions, and thanks everyone for subscribing. This has been fun and I appreciate it. So this has been another episode of Running Rants with Helen. I will see you guys next time.